All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. I was actually looking at it this morning, Jen. This is the 14th episode this season already.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. As always, I'm your host, Adam Smith, with Just the Tips Coaching, and with us, pretty much as always, is our marketing director and one of our other coaches, Jen Waybower. Good morning, Jen, again.
Good morning, Adam.
And we've got a really cool guest for you guys today, a repeat guest, in fact, although our format has changed in this time frame some. Some of this was actually a little foreign to both Jen and Christina Ray. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, good. We're glad to have you. And I was thinking about it when I saw who the guest was going to be this week, and I can't even recall how long I've known your family. Prior to starting my own mortgage brokerage, which was 16 years ago this month, I was working for one, and the processor there actually introduced me to, oh my gosh, is it your mom or your stepmom?
My stepmom.
Your stepmom.
Yep.
And so, gosh, I've been involved with your family in one way or another for 20 years. I mean,
That's crazy.
I know. Now I feel really old because, yeah, this is all 20 years is a long stretch. And obviously, it wasn't that long after we did a transaction together on their home that we had you as a guest on the podcast shortly thereafter. So it's probably been a couple of years since we've had you on the podcast.
It has been, yeah. So a lot has gone on in the past few years, but yes, it's been years at this point.
Well, and the pandemic being one of them. I mean,
Yes.
it's been a weird couple of years, and obviously the real estate market has made it an even weirder couple of years. But why don't you give us a little bit of background just to bring our guests up to speed on the ones who hadn't experienced you before. How you got into the game and how long it's been, and what you were doing beforehand, and then fill us in on what you've been doing the last couple of years.
Perfect. So I have had my license for 5 years now, which also sounds crazy. I mean, nothing like 20 years, but I've had it for 5 years. My previous job, I was in property management for 12 years. So I feel like that did translate somewhat to the real estate world. Anytime you're dealing with somebody's home, you're dealing with the most personal investment they're making, whether they're renting or purchasing. So I was definitely lucky to do property management for 12 years. I really, really enjoyed it, but there's not a whole lot of flexibility. You're really tied to your property and your desk in property management. So it was time for a change when I started growing my family, and I wanted to get my license for so many years and just put it off. And finally, I was pregnant with my second daughter and got my license. And when she was 3 weeks old, I joined a brokerage and hit the ground running. My managing broker was like, "Wait, you had a baby 3 weeks ago?" And I was like, "Yep," and I'm ready to go. So just hit the ground running and never looked back. I was so excited to start, and I've loved it ever since, and I'm so happy doing it. So
Very cool. Yeah, and what about the last couple of weeks, or the last couple of weeks, which has felt like a couple of years, but tell us about the last couple of years. We know the real estate market is absolutely Looney Tunes in pretty much every major urban area, coast to coast. Seattle, Washington to Atlanta, Georgia. Denver is certainly no exception there. On top of it, we've obviously dealt with a pandemic. Here in Colorado, things were really up and down roller coaster ride. There were times where the real estate business was basically put on hiatus. There were times where you were able to do what you needed to do, but you weren't allowed to do inspections or appraisals or these kinds of things. And those were brief windows last year, about a year ago. But yeah, the last couple of years have been a pretty significant roller coaster ride for you.
they definitely have. So, none of us have ever experienced a pandemic. And obviously, last year, no one could have ever probably even guessed that would happen in their lifetime. So, One thing that I tell people is that I feel like I was really amazed at how well everybody adapted quickly to the pandemic because ultimately in real estate, people still were moving. People still had to relocate or purchase homes. Like it wasn't something that we could just say, we're just going to completely halt. So I think the biggest thing that, I realized was how resilient we are and how resilient our market can be and how well people were able to adapt. I mean, I'll never forget sitting on a curb signing papers with someone at a title company, for a closing, but we made it happen, and so it has been wild, but I think that it's made people appreciate home more, and I definitely appreciate my home more, and I think that most people were able to see kind of the silver lining of it, and that's kind of how I approached it. So
Yeah, and it has provided a lot of silver linings. There's no question. It's been productive and fruitful. There's a ton of real estate business going on. Everything that goes on the market sells, in about 3 to 6 minutes. So yeah, we started measuring time on market in minutes, not days.
mhm.
So yeah, I mean, it has certainly been entertaining, and it has provided an opportunity for people that were willing to adapt and learn and, continue to work hard, so on and so forth. A fun and rewarding environment, an opportunity to get really creative on certain things. We've seen a lot
Right.
of that. Um, What's different for you, just to kind of circle back to where our audience, focuses on why they watch us, why they listen to us. What have you changed over the last year or so when it comes to lead gen activities? I mean, we know door knocking is virtually out of the question,
Right.
that kind of thing. And I don't know that you were doing door knocking per se. It's obviously just one of the uh, tactics and techniques that an awful lot of our coaching clients, a lot of our audience here, just the tips have done or will continue to do. But yeah, what does that look like for you over the last year or so?
So you're right. I actually was an agent that never relied on door knocking or cold calling. It just, I think that there's many agents that are extremely successful at that, but for me, it wasn't authentic. It wasn't something that I felt comfortable doing. So I was like, I'm not going to force myself to do something that I'm not comfortable with. So my business, I do solely based off of referrals. I don't, pay for marketing. I really believe that if I take care of my people, they will tell their friends and family about me. So how I focused my business this past year was I've always had this mindset, but I really had to focus on how can I just help my people, like I needed to focus and reach out to them. One thing that I was really passionate about was explaining forbearance, and I told people, I was like, do not worry, or if you feel like, nervous to ask me anything, like, please just use me as your professional and person that can give you the information that you need throughout anything going on. So I really just think I was like a lifeline throughout this past year. It was trying to reach out to people, see how they're doing. Obviously, it was a lot of hand holding when it was going through the process if people were moving, because it looked so differently than any other transaction. So it was just, my focus was solely on how to make people okay through the process and how to just be there and be a resource for them during the craziness. That was truly my whole focus last year.
Well, it was certainly a lot of craziness. No question
Yes.
about that. And yeah, and don't get me wrong, obviously the goal for everybody, I'm hoping, should be to build a strict repeat and referral business. In fact, we hope the goal is to eventually build a strict repeat and referral business that you can walk away from while it still pays you. Now, granted, these aren't the kinds of things that we're shaping in the course of 12 months, but we certainly hope long term that that's something that people can achieve, certainly that our coaching clients can achieve. So, obviously, a lot of this stuff is good communication, good contact management, staying in front of people, being even, not just necessarily a resource, but a trusted advisor. Hey, Christina, I've got this particular issue that's on my mind. What should I do? What's your feedback? What's your input?
Right.
And yeah, that pays dividends. And certainly over the course of the last 12, 14 months, people needed reassurance. We still do. People need a expert opinion. People need just to talk to people. And
Yeah.
that was really a big one. So I'm hoping that a lot of your brethren, a lot of our audience, kind of took that to heart as well, and really focused on working their existing client contact database. I would hope.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
well, if not, they're going to be in the 22,500 agents. I think we were talking about this before we went live. That this particular market has 25,000 agents and 2,500 listings. So, yeah, it's definitely going to create a shift. There's going to be a change. And hopefully the agents know to be doing what Christina has been doing over the last year, because that's the kind of thing that'll breed that longevity and that success going forward, no question. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the experiences you've had in recent months, knowing how crazy the real estate market is right now? You've got some good stories, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's been absolutely crazy. I hate using the term crazy because um but it's really the only way to describe it. I never could have imagined I would be, walking up to a house and standing in line to get into it, fully masked and with my clients, and we're just standing in this long line to get into a house. So um, it has been very interesting. I will be honest, I got pretty discouraged at the beginning of this year. I think that, having clients, especially that were not super cash heavy down, and we're trying to compete with clients that were offering full appraisal coverages on homes that I knew were never going to appraise in where they were going under contract. It was really frustrating, and I think that I think a lot of agents, were experiencing that because, like you said, there's only so many houses to sell, and there are so many buyers out there. So there's a lot of people that are losing out on offers, that they just can't compete. So um, I really just tried to stay positive. I tried to have a really positive interaction with my clients. I think that the best thing you can do, especially for buyers right now, is to set the expectation, because if you're not laying out that information, then they're going to come into this and be completely shocked as to what's going on. So, whenever I'm meeting a new buyer for the first time, I always like to ask them, what's your take on the real estate market right now, or what are you hearing? Because I want to know what they've heard, so that I'm not going to, like just bombard them with information. But I think it's interesting to hear what their thoughts are, because some people, they're like, oh, it's absolutely this, and you're like, oh, well, we can talk through this and stuff. So I always start it from a place of, I want to know kind of where they're coming from, and then how I can educate them and really just, empower them through this process so that they feel good.
I do think managing expectations is an important piece of the puzzle. I'm not sure we've really talked about that in the last half dozen or so episodes of the podcast. Jen is saying
I don't think
no,
so.
we haven't.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's certainly a big deal. And we certainly try to do that in my office. I know we had a fairly recent issue with a buyer's agent, and this was relatively new to her. She's not a top producer by any means. I think when we had pulled her numbers, she had done one deal in 2020 and one deal in 2019. So not a lot of seasoning or expertise, particularly in this market.
Sure.
Um, Luxury property, jumbo loan, self-employed individual, the buyer's self-employed. So, she asks, hey, what's a realistic time frame? And I said, just to be on the safe side, why don't you do 45 days? She offers at 60. Sellers amend at 30. And the first thing I did was call them both and say, hey, look, you guys have got to manage this expectation. This is just not, there is potential for this to take longer than that. And I think it did. I think it took 32 or 33 days when all was done. But Yeah, right from the get-go, managing expectations about what this chaotic market is bringing is definitely going to be a big deal. Um, and Jen, I know you hate this,
Oh
but
boy.
I want to get Christina's take on where this, shitstorm ends. Where does this train eventually derail? And Christina, tell me if you think I'm wrong. I haven't had that feedback yet, but if we continue on this trend, this particular supply and demand issue road, then let's be conservative and say instead of getting the lunacy 15+% per annum appreciation, that it's only 10. And 10 years from now, the average single family home, which by the way jumped over 100 grand in the last year, the price of an average single family home in the Denver metro area jumped over 100 grand March to March year over year. Then in 10 years, it's like $1.2 million, the average single family home. And the lending, we try to keep up, but we struggle. We usually see about 6% increases per year on conforming loans. So now we're talking about it having to be a jumbo loan. The average home buyer buying the average home in 10 years is going to need $250,000 in cash. They're going to need $250,000 in income to sustain the rest of the debt. And the population that's aging into the home buying process just isn't going to be there. So are we on a track where only 1%ers can buy homes 10 years from now? I mean, how do you think this plays out?
I hope not. I hope that obviously, buyers, one of the biggest things that I always talk to my buyers about is I truly, to my core, believe that the way to build wealth is through real estate. I've never been able to make the amount of money that I've made just through investing in real estate and really, just literally owning the home. I didn't do anything additional, but just over the course of a few years, the appreciation and owning and investing in what that's done for me and my family as far as our financial future goes. So my hope is that that's not the case. I do think that obviously, like you've pointed out, is home prices are on the rise and it's not going down. I always hear people and they're like, oh, I'm just going to wait for the bubble burst. And I'm like,
it will. It will. In 20 years, the average single family home will drop from 2 million to 1.5. Yes. 20 years from now. Correct. It'll drop.
So really, I just, I'm trying to empower the people that are interested in the market to just do it now so that when the future comes, if that is the case, they'll have plenty of equity that they can, reinvest and they'll be able to afford those homes. So that's the biggest advice I can give is just, if that is the case, I wish I had a crystal ball. I always say right now, my crystal ball is a little foggy because, normally year over year, I feel like I can tell people, hey, yeah, this is kind of typical. This is what to expect. And then, 2021 comes out. I always say post-pandemic, but really in the we're still in a pandemic, so it was one of those things where I'm like, we're all just kind of seeing what happens at this point, and that would be my biggest advice. And I hate to go back on stuff too, but one thing that you had said, and I think that that's so true, you have to, as an agent, you have to have a relationship with your lender. You two are a team. Like you can't be going and doing dates and just hoping that Adam can come through with that. I think another piece of advice for agents, in this crazy market is they need to have a partnership and they need to communicate with their lenders, with their lender partners, because
communication's always
that would have
been
been an issue on the last one.
Yeah, agreed. And I do want to, I know this is, minutes ago now in our conversation, but I do want to make sure that everybody watching, listening, understands that, something Christina said is old as a monetary concept has existed, and it's that nobody ever got wealthy without owning real estate. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not wealthy and I'm never going to be, but owning real estate has certainly helped me propel that forward. As you described in your own personal financial situation. But yeah, if you guys are contemplating buying a house, don't wait. I beg you, don't wait. Home prices, the only thing that's going to curb home prices is solving the supply and demand issue. We've got, 10% of what we would need to have a balanced market. Could take a long, long time to solve that. Interest rates, I couldn't say. Again, my catchphrase is that my crystal ball is in the shop. Not that it's foggy, but that it's in the shop.
Yeah.
And yeah, I cannot imagine them being lower, going down much. I mean, obviously the mortgage-backed securities market bumps around day after day, hour by hour, but yeah, if you have clients that are on the fence, get them off. I mean, there is not going to be a better time to buy a piece of real estate than yesterday.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, get in the game. And that's the thing too that I've been telling first time buyers. This is not your forever home. My first home wasn't my forever home either, but that is how you start building the stepping stones to that final investment or to the, dream home that you've been wanting. So yeah, to echo you, absolutely get in.
What do you think, Jen? I mean, we're kind of talking about you here.
I think you enjoy scaring me every week. That's what I think.
When it comes to this, yes, and I do believe fear is a great motivator.
No, I mean, I'm still a little ways out from being in a position to buy a home, but I keep hoping every guest that you ask this is going to be like, oh yeah, Adam, I have the solution. This is what we're going to do. X, Y, Z, it's solved. It's fine. But that hasn't happened yet.
No, and that's because that person doesn't exist. Yeah.
I keep hoping.
Buddy, we'll get out there and we'll find you your perfect place.
Right?
Yeah, but I think what Christina said is important. It's not going to be the perfect place.
No.
We've got a lot of clients right now that are basically getting edged out of the single-family home market, for example. Great. Buy a townhome. Buy a condo. Let that sucker double in value over the next 10 years. You'll have a shit ton of equity, and then use that to move up. And then use that to move up. So on and so forth. Yeah, I agree. Whatever, people that are competing in the entry-level single-family home market today, please do not look at it as your forever home. It's almost impossible to put it that way today. It's almost like making a lateral move. I'm tired of my house. I want to move into something in another neighborhood that's very similar. Nobody's doing that. I mean, really, our buyers today are either new, or we're talking major upgrades, or major downgrades, major downsizing. Maybe we're talking about people that are closing in on retirement and they're liquidating and buying the forever home in Myrtle Beach. And I don't know why I keep saying Myrtle Beach other than I'm looking at buying a property in Myrtle Beach as we speak. So I get it. But yeah, Jen, I'm hoping that all of our guests are frightening you and the rest of the millennial up-and-coming future home buying population into getting off the fence.
Especially when I talk to clients and they're telling me what they're paying in their rent, it pains me. So that is the one thing that I tell people. I'm like, we have got to get you into I always say it's like your piece of the pie. Get your piece of Colorado. It may be small, but get it.
And it'll be yours.
Yes.
No question.
Yeah.
And maybe someday you can rent it to somebody else for an exorbitant amount of rent and make a little money on it.
Right.
Yeah, we were looking at the performance of one of our short-term rentals, and we were looking at it for this month, and we booked a lot of time this month to spend there. It's a cabin in the mountains. And so this month we were only able to accommodate 2 paying guests, and those 2 guests paid my entire nut on that property. The mortgage, the heat, the power, the phone, the internet, everything was paid from 2 guests. I don't know, maybe a total of 10 days over the course of the month. So yeah, we do that for 30 years, and what do you know, a bunch of people are going to buy me a house.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is the kind of, I'm hoping this is the path, Jen, hint, hint, wink, wink, that, yeah.
I know.
Okay.
Every month that I pay rent, I cry a little bit.
Oh, well, all that stroke in that check is painful. Yeah, for pretty much every renter out there, knowing as crazy as the real estate market has been, and crazy doesn't even begin to define it. We're seeing people offer $100,000 over asking price, including an appraisal gap to cover it, and not be the winning offer, right? I mean, lunacy. And the affordability index still makes it more affordable to own than to rent. It's kooky. It's kooky. Yeah. So what do you think the future holds for you and your business? What kind of changes have you made in the last 12 months that are going to pay you dividends in future years? What do you think your, contact management looks like in future years? What do you think your team looks like in future years? More people coming on, a buyer's agent, a dedicated TC, an assistant. What's your 5-year plan, Christina Ray?
Okay, so my 5-year plan. That's a really good question.
Thanks. I don't think I ever asked anybody before.
Okay, well, I love it. It's good. Put me on the spot on a Monday here. Try to tell me my 5-year plan. So, my goal is I'm very competitive with myself, which is sometimes not a curse, I guess, because, I've always come to a place where every year since I've got my license, every year I have performed better year over year. I've never gone backwards. And so, but at a point too, it comes to a place where, like you said, if you're performing at a certain, as your dollar volume gets higher, as your client database gets bigger, then, having a buyer's agent or a TC or whatever the case may be, having people to help support you becomes critical. So I've always said, if in my business, no matter how many clients I have or get, if I don't feel like I'm able to give them the level of service that I have promised them, then there's a problem. I never want to get to a point where I'm so busy and I'm having, things fall through the cracks. That's just not in my vocabulary. So I do have a transaction coordinator at my brokerage, and she is super helpful. I also have marketing support at my brokerage, which, when I was finding my brokerage, I've been at the same one for 5 years. I haven't jumped around. I've been very happy where I'm at. And I think that's because of the level of support that they've provided me. So, do I want to, continue to grow my business? Yes. Do I hope in the next 5 years that my numbers do continue to increase? Yes, because what that means is I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm serving people and they're telling people about me, and I'm just growing the amount of people that I get to serve. I genuinely love what I'm doing, and I want to be able to grow my business so that I can help more people. At the end of the day, that's all it's about. So I would say that, I struggle with a buyer's agent, to have a buyer's agent with me. A lot of agents do it and they love it, but I love getting out there and being a part of the market. And I think as a buyer's agent, if I'm not out there looking at the houses with my buyers and walking them through it, I just feel like it's like a little part is missing. And so while some agents love having that, it's probably not going to be something that I'm going to do anytime in the future. Now, maybe after, standing in lines for houses over the next 5 years, I might get sick of that and I might have somebody, but, it could change. So.
Well, and it may change because the volume of buyers that need attention at any given time is too much for one person to handle.
Sure. And I am also mentoring agents. I'm mentoring 2 new agents that have come into the business. And I really enjoy that too. So mentoring, I would say, is going to be something that I continue to do, because I always come from a place of abundance. There's a lot of agents that are like, I'm not telling anybody my secrets.
My secrets. They're not secrets.
You're right. And I'm like, no, there's plenty to go around. Yep. I'm not worried about anybody trying to come in and take any of my business. And so I'm really enjoying the mentoring aspect too, and helping agents that are just getting started kind of, understand the process and have somebody that's there to really, guide them and be a part of their real estate, journey.
Yeah. And obviously a big problem for, the entire history of there being real estate agents, or there being loan originators, or there being salespeople in general. You'll go so much further with an abundance mindset than with a scarcity mindset. If you've got a scarcity mindset, I'm not going to share my secrets. One, they're not secrets, people. We're not reinventing the wheel. It's all been done. There are no unicorns. There are no magic potions. It doesn't work that way. But in classic Zig Ziglar kind of mentality, you're going to get back 10 times what you give. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, God, that whole abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset is such a big deal. Well, neither here nor there. So, Jen, did we scare you thoroughly again this week?
Yes, you just love starting my Mondays on that note.
On just a terror rampage.
Yeah.
That's how I get you through your week.
Yeah.
All right.
It's my motivation. Must be it.
I'm sure you'll take it out on me tomorrow when we're back in the office. Excellent. All right. So, Christina, there's a lot of good stuff here. And we'll have to do this again because Jen's pinging me that we're over time anyway. But because of how much content we've covered, both as a mentor and as an agent representing the consumer, I'd be willing to bet that a lot of people would love to reach out. How do we get a hold of you?
Sure, yeah, anytime. So my my cell phone number is 720-275-3438, and then my email is Christina, Christina, at livelaughdenver.com. And people always say, is it Live, Laugh, Love? Like, they get our brokerage very confused. It's Live, Laugh, Denver, because who needs love when you have Denver? We all love Denver. So Live, Laugh, Denver. Reach out anytime. I really am here to help, and I'm happy to help anytime.
Cool. Thank you so much for joining us. Jen, you want to take us home?
Yeah, I just realized your book isn't sitting on my desk right now.
Oh,
So for those of you listening, you can text TIPS to 63566 and get all kinds of information about Just the Tips coaching, including a link to buy Adam's book that he was just holding up, which is Just the Tips. You can get our podcast on Spotify and on Apple, video links for past episodes of the show, for our current weekly little tip, information on the Mile High Mastermind, which is booked for September. We're very excited. All the content's all lined up. It's going to be a good one. And last, but certainly not least, you can book a free hour of coaching with us. So hang out with us for an hour, see if it's a good fit.
and we're limited on mastermind tickets again this year with the venue and the pandemic and so on and so forth. While it'll be a much greater number than we were able to do last September.
Right.
It is limited seating, as it were. All right. Well, thank you, Jen. And Christina, again, thank you for joining us. Always good to talk with you. I'm glad that you're doing so well. And eventually, I hope the two of you will talk about a three-peat. We'll get Christina back on the show. Other than that, thanks, everyone, for watching, for listening. And you can catch us every Monday at 10:30 Mountain Time for the Just the Tips How I Met Your Mortgage video cast, subsequent podcast, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you.